This work was in the entry to our home until Michael wanted it here for the museum.
For philanthropist Eli Broad, charity truly begins at home, especially when it comes to his multi-million-dollar art collection.
We started in the entry, and then Michael went to living room and bedroom, and we're missing a few things.
Broad offered Michael Govan, director of the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the choice of anything in Broad's collection. There were the paintings by Roy Lichtenstein.
And we really miss that painting.
Robert Rauschenberg.
This was in the entry to our home also.
Andy Warhol and Jasper Johns.
So what was it like when you went into his home? I mean, is it like a kid in a candy store? I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that.
It's a treasure trove, but I remember one of the first meetings when he said, well, just take what you want, right?
Whatever you want to show.
That's right.
We want to share with the public.
Share and then some. Not long ago, Hollywood's glitterati turned out to celebrate with Eli Broad, who's already given away more than $1 billion worth of his fortune, estimated at more than $5 billion. Not only is much of the art on the walls his, that's his name on the building. Its price tag, $56 million.
We're sort of missionaries. We like having people look at contemporary art, learn about art of the times they live in.
So committed is Eli Broad to his art for the people ethic that even in this shaky economy, he donated $30 million to keep another Los Angeles museum, the Museum of Contemporary Art, out of bankruptcy.
Across the country, the recessionary report card for museums is bleak. Donations to the arts have decreased by almost 10%. In a 2009 survey, 75% of museums nationwide said they were having to make do with less. The Las Vegas Art Museum cut its budget 30%, but still had to close last year. The Art Institute of Chicago's endowment dropped 25%, so it had to double the price of admission to $18. And the Detroit Institute of Arts had to cut 20% of its staff. And giving isn't what it used to be, not even for Eli Broad, who shook up the art world when he decided to lend, not give, his collection to the LA County Museum of Art.
If I gave a museum 2,000 works of art, you know what they do? They'd put 95% of it in storage. So my attitude is we'll lend to museums on a permanent basis. As long as they want to show the art to the public, they could show it. If they want to put it in the basement, please return it, and we'd like to have someone else show it to the public.
And Eli Broad is just one face in the changing universe of art philanthropy. With museums across the country feeling the financial pinch, collectors are finding new ways to bring art to the public.
In Dallas, Marguerite Huffman wasn't quite sure what to do with her growing collection of contemporary art. She had to build a second home just to hold it all.
This is the house that your art built.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. We don't even to this day know how to refer to this particular space. Gallery seems way too pretentious.
Whatever you call it, it is impressive. With her husband, Robert, who died of leukemia 3 years ago, together they bought works by such celebrated artists as Andy Warhol, Franz Klein, and Gerhard Richter.
Robert and I thought of this as kind of a double self-portrait, and we had it at the foot of our bed for a long, long time. So I never look at that picture without thinking of our time together and our work together and what we want for the community.
And what the Hoffmans wanted was for the people of Dallas to be able to see their art, but they also wanted to support their local museum.
The only way you're ever going to take a museum to the next level, the only way you're going to take a regional museum and make it an aspiring national museum or a great national museum, is if you get things en masse.
So they asked another art collecting couple, Cindy and Howard Rachowski, if they wanted to give a combined bequest.
they came back to pick us up for dinner that night. They said, we've thought about it, and not only are we going to give our collection with you, but we'll give you our house too.
It's an ultra-modern house designed by Richard Meyer, and it's filled with art. When another couple, also friends, Dee Dee and Rusty Rose, put their collection into the group, the total bequest to the Dallas Museum of Art was valued at over $400 million.
These are two works from the collection of Dee Dee and Rusty Rose.
The museum's director, Bonnie Pittman, is helping the donors coordinate their giving.
When the gift was announced, we were flooded with inquiries from all over the United States, and congratulations.
But these tales of grand generosity are few and far between these days. The San Francisco Museum of Modern Art announced in September it would be the recipient of the billion-dollar Fisher collection. This after Gap founder Donald Fisher passed away. But that was only after Fisher and his wife had lost their bid to build their own museum on San Francisco's historic Presidio. They faced a contentious public hearing in 2008.
The Fisher Museum is huge, large, out of place. It's an insult to the main post.
This is a good location that's going to get a great building.
It adds up to a stylish enclave of bourgeois sensibilities, presuming sophisticated tastes. Yuck.
Now those sophisticated tastes will triple the size of the San Francisco Museum's exhibition space.
And then I look at this and I say...
Back in Santa Monica, Eli Broad has yet another trick up his sleeve. He now wants to make a museum out of his foundation's collection, sharing yet more of his art with the public.
I mean, you can't have this in your living room as a collector.
Maybe your living room, but not mine.
No, not mine either. But look, this work has been shown in 4 countries.
So what motivates all these donors? For Eli Broad, there is a vision for Los Angeles.
I want to make it the contemporary art capital of the world.
Echoing Broad, the trust Donald Fisher created before he died will see his collection safely housed for at least the next 25 years in San Francisco, the city he loved.
I really believe in public access to art.
And for this group of donors in Dallas, there's the belief that collectors and museums can work together. Dallas Museum Director Bonnie Pittman.
So it is this huge commitment, civic commitment, to make a great museum that is making a difference in Dallas.
For the rest of us, we can just hope that museums find a way to stay afloat while we have fun with the art.